On our breakfast TV show, Good Morning Anambra, and my name is Chidimma Oranwa. Hope you all woke strong this morning. Welcome to this day's edition of the show, and I have my colleague with me right now.
Aduchuku Okagwe saying good morning. Thank God it's Friday. Have a pleasant day.
All right, quickly we are going to start with the stories that are trending on and other national dailies this morning, and we have our guest seated with us right here in the studio. But we have to take a short break. When we come back, you get to meet them. Stay with us. All right, glad to have you back on a press review this morning. And you can see our reviewers are all seated right here in the studio. They are Arinze Anyebunam. Arinze is a public affairs analyst. Glad to have you this morning.
The pleasure is mine.
And we also have Imandi Ezenago, public affairs analyst. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, quickly this morning we are starting with the stories on ABS website. The very first story we have this morning is Anambra State Government commences capacity building program for accountants in civil service. And Ochanjikoka councils intensify measures to strengthen security. 2 suspects remanded in prison in Oka, orders for promoting underage prostitution. FRSC Anambra State inaugurate road safety clubs in 10 schools. Okay, these are the stories trending on our website this morning. Let's start with you, Arinze. You've seen the stories. Which one would you want to talk about?
Let me talk about the suspects, and yes, it's something to actually appreciate both the government and the agencies involved, because if proactive measures and actions are not being taken to, curb and avert some of this prevailing occurrence of evil, in quotes, we may not have people who are scared of. If you look around over the week, there's been series of stories. People are not actually living in peace of mind, so to speak. We wake up every day expecting that something strange may actually happen, and you begin to brace up for anything that happens. So I want to appreciate the government and agencies that are doing that, and also charge them to do more. I tell you, we need to, and it's not just about doing more. So it will also be good to do some kind of mental revamp program for youth, because a lot of these menaces is being perpetrated by youths. So if we do a mental revamp program for the youths, the teenagers, more like a catch them young program, I believe we'll be able to curb and arrest some of these issues.
Okay, thank you so much, Mandy.
Yeah, I'll still go with my brother. The remanding of 2 suspects for underage prostitutions. Most of these victims are not aware of what they are being or what they are about to be brought into, because most of them are being taken from rural areas with the promise of getting them a suitable job or taking them to school and all that. These are the fake promises that these wicked agents promise the parents or the guardian. And they being naive because of the level of development in a particular area. When they come, most of their things, like example, their phones may be taken from them, so they won't be able to reach out. Yes, and then they will be monitored, so that they won't be able to go out and talk to people. So I believe that this measure of remanding them in the prison will serve as a warning to other ones. And I also want the government to also investigate more so that the ones that are in hiding or the ones that are operating on, there's all this term that we use, low key, on a low key term, they should be apprehended as well, and they should face the full wrath of the law.
Okay. Still on our website this morning, this story on Anocha and Njikoka Council
Definitely.
intensifying measures,
Definitely.
to strengthen security. This particular move, how do you say it?
It's a laudable feat. It's something to give accolades for. A number of times, councils, local government bosses, and all of that, council bosses, even the citizens feel that every action that would profit the indigenous citizens should be solely on the executive government. At the state level and the federal level. So for the council bosses to begin taking steps and measures to proactively ensure the safety and security of their environment is something to appreciate them for. It shows that that we have capable hands on ground. We have people who are people-oriented council bosses, people who think what their people should actually benefit and not just about what they can be able to possibly siphon or get out of the government through their offices. So it's a good fit.
Okay, thank you so much. So quickly.
Let's go to the first paper for review this morning, and that's going to be the Daily Sun. And the banner headline there says, Federal government suspend telecoms tax custom tariff. And the writer there says, President signs 4 executive orders. Man, Nasima, SCPPE, others hail Tinubu. And then our solve security challenges, that's coming from Tinubu. The writer there says, to pledges to address welfare, funding equipment, and other constraints faced by the military. You find that story on page 6 of the Daily Sun. Urge to fix new dates for national census. Fuel imports, Nigeria losing 2,000 barrel per day. 2,000 barrel, oil marketers are saying. $2,000 per barrel, oil marketers are saying. Kanu anti-draft body invitation to Ganduje over alleged dollar videos raises dust. That's APC Kiki. Our president yet to draw list of ministers, special advisor. APC supporters storm EU office over report on 2023 election. And the writer there says, IPAC, we are studying report, will respond in 2 weeks. Asset declaration, court grants Kyari 50 million bail. IGP disbands police team for running over and cuffed man in Edo. And last but not the least, 5 killed, many injured as rival cult groups clash in Lagos. That's all that we have for the front page of the Daily Sun. And quickly, Arinze, let's talk about this. I'll solve security challenges coming from Tinubu, the president.
That's actually an area of interest for me. Regardless of whatever you may be doing, regardless of how much prowess you possess administratively, if the people are not safe, if the environment is not safe, then you're actually doing nothing. Because like we know a few years back when we had that chaotic demonstration of the youths that brought about the NSAS, properties were damaged and all of that, government and private. So if we're not able to ensure safety, if we are not able to ensure societal calm in our environment, then it's a good one. But the truth is, as a matter of fact, we've heard this as promises from different administrations. I'm going to fight security. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And when they assume office, we begin to expect how much they are going without. Maybe they may not really be able to do all of that, but take proactive measures. Let it not be politicized. We know if we keep allowing this insecurity thing to breed, it's going to get to a point. We know of the Taliban. I don't want to color that, but it's something to really, really be sincere, to be honest, and to proactively get into action to fight insecurity. If the presidency lives by his promise, it's something to actually celebrate him for. Even if that's the only thing he achieved, security, restoring peace, that's perfect.
Well, that should be his number one duty.
That's perfect.
As the Constitution states that the president or the governor should first and foremost secure the lives and property of Nigerians. And that was why I went to that question at first. But the FG suspending telecoms tax and customs tariff, what do you think about that, Amandi?
To me, it is nice because we will pay the tax as well. Because we found out that recently, I think either last year or 2 years ago, the tariff that the charges that they give us when we subscribe to any of our vouchers according to our different networks is high, and the use of data is also high. So, we know that, or rather, I could remember that around that 2014, 2015, when you subscribe 1,000 naira data, it lasts close to 1 month. Now, 1,000 naira data does not survive 24 hours because of it does not survive 24 hours. Maybe you may subscribe this morning, before evening, you'll be wondering, how did it disappear? So we find out that these are the charges. These charges are the tax that we pay. Even those that borrow you find out that the charge they give you as the interest that they collect is higher. So it's a welcome development. So if they can, as it has been suspended, let them also discuss about it to reduce it, please, so that people will be able to manage.
We have a problem with so many things in this or that. When something goes up, coming down is
just like the electricity. Just like the electricity tariff.
I'm not too happy about. I'm not too excited. Let me just use that word about the suspension, because the suspension might be for upward review. Something that is suspended doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go down. You understand?
That's why I say that.
You need to look at the modalities that warranted all these charges that are being put in. You understand? And then the people itself will now come and tell you the reasons why these things are there. And government is in business to make profit. And government are making good profit from this telecom.
Definitely.
Yes.
I was going to say that many allege that it's transactional.
Exactly. More like.
So, the suspension is not something to, at the moment, celebrate.
To celebrate, yeah.
Because we are not yet certain what the government is
outcome
driving at. Yes. So, when people do this, for instance, I'm not going to mention a name, but there is a brand in this country that I am aware of. At their place of origin, when you subscribe to their service, they do pay as you go. If peradventure you possibly travel, you shut down your devices, signed up or subscribed to their services, they count in the reading stops. But here, you subscribe today and you have any emergency to leave, but anywhere you are, that thing is ready.
Running.
So it's a way of taking advantage of Nigerians, and I know by virtue of findings and study that many countries leverage on Nigerians to possibly boost their economy.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to the Punch newspaper. Rising inflation, private sector demands more waivers as Tinubu suspends taxes. And then we say have vehicle import, telecom, manufactured goods taxes blocked via 4 executive orders. Manufacturers, telecoms welcome relief. Federal government says suspension to alleviate hardship. And then up there, Tinubu, 30 million orders join Zuckerberg's threads. NMPCL plans another $8 billion international gas pipeline. Money laundering, CBN places Cameroon, Vietnam, Croatia on watch list. Federal government promises to tackle military equipment shortage and poor funding. Police dismissed Lagos call linked to missing baby after a Punch report. Falcons protest cancelled bonuses, threatened to boycott World Cup. EMIA's ban on is Isesia crime against cultural heritage. This is coming from Wole Shoyinka. Okay. Now we are seeing a different thing altogether. We're still talking about the suspension of the taxes. The banner headline: the manufacturers, telcos welcome relief, as the federal government is saying that the suspension is to alleviate poverty.
It's if he has promised to use it to alleviate poverty, it's good, because this tax of a thing, it starts from the manufacturer, and the people that bears it much are the final consumers. So it depends. As now that the private sectors are also appealing that they should also be included among those that they will, like, for the waivers of the taxes. It's good, because when these manufacturers, when they pay high rates of tax, that is when these commodities of goods and services skyrocket. That's the time, and the people that bear these pains are the final consumers. So if he has promised to use it to alleviate poverty, please let him do it.
Okay. Arinze, on a lighter note, are you one of the 30 million people that have joined the threat?
Yes, someone was saying, Arinze, what are you waiting for? Join threads. But I would have joined. One of the things that kept me back was the fact that I know a Nigerian, he's actually based in Abuja, that built a Facebook-like app. During my days as a radio presenter, I was one of the persons promoting that app, and you could hardly see people join. Well, see, a few days ago, I don't know if it's up to 42 or 48 hours,
48 hours,
that threads came up. Our president already joined. He's joined, and then about 30 million plus. But I know too many persons will join, because Twitter has actually dealt with a number of persons. Elon Musk came with some changes.
Yes.
People became offended. Elon Musk nearly washed down the glory and that class and executive kind of categories in Twitter against the insurgents. What happens? I've seen a video or several videos where some military personnel, were raising complaints. A guy actually said when he raised complaint to his commander, he was arrested for raising a complaint that they were fighting insurgents and their guns were locking or something like that. And you cannot raise complaints. It's an issue of concern. And where one of these militants dropped his ammunition, trying to subscribe to the amnesty program, and a senior personnel in the military could not handle that gun. It was a public display in the TV. Picked the gun, could not engage it and release bullets. He could not. It was those guys teaching them how to handle the gun. Invariably, these insurgents have more sophisticated tools than the military.
And are well trained.
And are well trained.
So what you're suggesting is that it's not just enough to provide the funding and ammunition. They still need to go for some training when it gets to how to handle those weapons. All right, well said.
Let's go to the next paper for review this morning, which is the Daily Independent. And the banner headline there says, only capital boost may stop $1,000 to $1 exchange rates. That's coming from analysts. And Tinubu set aside Buhari's tax policies to grow businesses. And then the writer there says, suspends 5% excise duty on telecom services, import tax adjustment levy on certain vehicles, and defers execution of Finance Act customs tariff. And then you see on the left hand there, you see stakeholder condemns relocation of aviation agencies to Abuja. Tinubu asks NPC to sustain plans for 2023 census, set to propose new dates for census conduct. Senators shield ex-finance minister Zainab from $10 million gas deal probe. Senate probes concessioning of airports by Buhari's administration. NECO unveils e-platform for verification, confirmation of results. And Nigeria records 798 diphtheria cases 80 deaths. Abba Kyari remains in custody despite court admitting him to 50 million naira bail. That's all that we have for you.
Okay.
And last but not the least, I think, can we get first female chief judge as Assembly confirms Aboki? And then ignore rumors on ministerial list, President urges Nigerians.
Okay.
Well, this is still, I don't know, sometimes you begin to wonder. Abba Kyari remains in custody despite court admitting him, you understand, to 50 million naira bail. And then, but then the one that really catches my fancy is Senators shielding ex-finance minister Zainab from 10 million gas deal probe. What's your take on that, Emmanuel?
You know, before this, the last administration ended, we keep hearing about borrowing, and I think when they were about leaving, they will say that they spent how many billions on feeding the school children, which we know that definitely, okay, let's say in this part of the country, how many children did you hear that when they go to school that they are being fed by the federal government? Then in this probing of $10 million gas deal probe, it could be possible because we know that she was a former minister, and she was also holding a key office. She was the Minister for Finance then. So if the senators decide to shield, that means business has been transacted successfully. Because you cannot tell me that such crime or such thing can happen in a country and is being swept under the carpet. Is it because that money has exchanged hands? If it were to be a poor man that doesn't have the money to exchange that, the person will be probed, sentenced to jail or any other method of punishment. But the only thing is just that the senators, they are to step up in this, their game. Me, I don't have any other thing to say. The only thing that has made them to shield is just that the business has been transacted successfully.
There is so much to say.
Okay, Arinze, only capital boost may stop dollar to exchange for 1,000 naira. What's your take on that? Or is it going to be business as usual?
The certainty of deciding whether it's going to be business as usual is not there. The truth is, those in the corridors of power, those who are at the table of discussion, actually champion this. But what I would usually tell people is, let's always be considerate. Let's know that maybe because we are privileged to find ourselves at the table of discussion, and our concern now becomes what benefits us. That's the problem we have in this country, I tell you. You see, the level of political selfishness is high, and it's degrading. It's degrading that you travel out, come back with some dollar change, you get into the country, you're a big boy. Everybody now begins to, more like we've lost value. And truth be told, it's not just in the strength of our naira. Across board, you see that too many things are being devalued in the country, and it's a very bad thing. Both the government should be very intentional about what they do to boost the value of our naira, because it's going to save the economy no matter what we do. If our naira keeps falling, I know a guy, he's in Ghana. While he was in Nigeria, then okay, we were friends, we are still friends. He left for Ghana. While he was in Ghana, he would call us to send him some funds to sustain. Recently, the guy came back and was not acting big. So, say Ghana here. But somehow, their currency is gaining value. That's just it. If your currency gains value, you gain some kind of international reputation. People begin to want to do business with you.
All right, quickly, let's see what we have at the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And the big story there, advocacy for pay on death law heightens as unclaimed funds near 1.3 trillion naira. And then down there, that's a big story. You can see that on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Asset declaration, court grants Abba Kyari 50 million naira bill. Temporary relief as Tinubu defers and suspends Buhari 11th tax drive. Kanu Anti-Grafts Agency invites Ganduje for questioning. Fuel subsidy. Doctors want 550% salary increase. A threatened strike July 19. Nigeria's 33 trillion naira stock market undervalued, trading at discount. And then at 40, the Guardian continues to influence government policies. Abiodun Oshoba. And these are what we have on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Let's talk about the doctors wanting 550% salary increase or more, because the subsidy removal is biting on everyone. So they are demanding for increase in their salary. If not, they are going to go on strike. And they even give a date, July 19th.
They've always gone on. They've always go on strike, rather. But the issue now is that the federal government doesn't give them this attention. You know, I think one of the major sectors that we have in that the government neglects in this country, one of them is this health sector, another is education sector. The government doesn't look into that because, you know, in this health sector, these people that's always neglected, once they fall sick, they have access to international health treatments. But a common man, the poor of the poor, doesn't have such access. Then leaving them leaving them vulnerable, which is very, very bad. And when they go on this strike now, which they are planning on July 19th, the people that it will affect is the common man, rather. The people that it will also affect are the poor of the poor, because they are the ones that make use of these facilities, which most of these health centers don't even have good equipment. So they themselves asking for salary increase, they should also ask for good equipment, which they will use for their patients, because some hospitals, they don't have functioning equipment. Some don't even have the equipment. Some that has the equipment are due to change. And you know, most of this equipment that goes on some services, most times it might bring out a fake result or delay in results. So these are the things that the government have to look into, because this, apart from the removal of fuel subsidy that is affecting everybody, the health sectors, please, they should come together, even as the government is, even as they are appealing for this 550% increase. They should also appeal for provision of these facilities, the provision of this equipment, because these are the equipment that they will use on the patients while they are being paid. And this is one of the reasons why most people, once they've studied and studied and studied, before you know it, they are no longer in the country. They will go to better countries where they will be paid, where they will be well paid and attention will be given to them. So the government should also look at it, because we are the people that patronize these hospitals and these machines, these equipments, the facilities. We are the ones that are being used on, not them. So the government should please heed to their plea.
Okay, so let's go to the next paper.
We have for review, and that will be the Daily Trust. And the banner headline still talking about the telecom 5% waiver, vehicle import taxes and orders. And the reader there says issues for executive orders, differs Finance Act. Others would moderate inflation, coming from man and others. Our center seeks electricity tariff, food price regulation. And then scramble for committees hot up as Akpabio Abbas compile list. And then you see at the base there, police to play football match with repentant thugs in Kano State. Wow. INEC files charges against suspended Adamawa Rep. Senate probes Abuja Kano Airport concession by Buhari's government. And then you see diphtheria. Nigeria records 80 deaths in 7 states, FCD and NCDC. 1.5 million girls enrolled in 6 northern states schools in 10 years. That's coming from UNICEF. And dollar videos, APC kicks as anti-graft agency summons Ganduje, who happens to be the immediate past governor of Kano State. Wow. I don't know why you were laughing. Was it the case of the police and having a football match with repentant thugs? I don't know what classifies someone as a repentant thugs. I don't know what classification we have when we talk about that. But then let's talk about this diphtheria. Probably trying to link it with the increment in salary, 550% that our doctors are asking. The question I'm asking is, the ministry, the health ministry, is it that they are not seeing this red flag of this diphtheria? 7 states. If something as contagious as this can be in 7 states, just tell me, how long is it going to be before it engulfs the entire 36 states? You understand? So this is something to really, that's really worrisome. Because from what I know, diphtheria is highly contagious, you understand?
And we already have 80 deaths.
80 deaths.
80 deaths, you understand? So
and several others.
Several others, 759, you understand? So this is something to really worry the states and the federal government.
Just like you said, linking this with that of 550% increment in salary. Truth is, the doctors deserve it. Yes. But it's not about deserving it. It's about we all know. Maybe I won't still go calling names. In this thing that we do, we are careful to take notes of things even as we journey in life. I know a man who runs a hospital, but he's not a doctor. He's a health practitioner, yes, but he's not a doctor.
We've had so many of them. There was a time we went on raid. I think someone operating in Amansia was there about. They closed down the hospital here in Anambra State.
Both the association of the NMA, they should be proactive. The government, I'm going to link this to this. The government should consider certain things a factor. If you take a look, in most developed countries, you see politicians resign from offices. You won't find it in Nigeria. Rather, they would queue to get into the office because the benefits are very high.
Far outweighs.
Logically, how will somebody be a 2-time governor? Same person gets into the Senate. Same person possibly ascends to the office of the Senate President. Same person is still eligible to contest for the presidency. That's outrageous. If their pay, if the financial benefits are actually washed down, so that the poor of the poor, like he'd call them, and even the masses can actually benefit from this. Perfect. Again, in handling our health system like this now, the health ministry, both at the federal and state level, most times, or a number of times, we get to find out that people are appointed into offices without them being qualified for it. You cannot call a person who is possibly a lawyer, maybe he's an environmental health person is even good, somebody different from the health sector, and you appoint the person into the health ministry. You've already committed a blunder. You've just exposed the people to risk. Okay, I think this is one factor. And again, is to get facilities, get even drugs. One of the days I was going to take a drug, immediately I got it into my hand. I discovered that the colors were staining my palms. So all of these are things we should actually consider and be proactive in them. Let's not always wait until maybe 180 now. Somebody say 100, 150. People will begin to now scamper. There is risk. let's handle it when it is still at the infant. So it's,
Okay. So finally, the last paper we have this morning is the Nigerian Tribune. The big story is still talking about the tax waiver, so we'll move to other stories there. And Tinubu Shetima Group storm EU's Secretariat, demands withdrawal of report on 2023 elections. Nigeria missing among 12 African countries to benefit from malaria vaccine. Osun civil servants walk out on consultants handling staff audit. Court grants Abakari 50 million naira bill after 18 months in prison. Senate set to probe concession of airports. Kano Anti-Graft Agency summons Ganduje over dollar video. INEC files a 6-count charge against suspended Adamawa Rec to be arraigned next week. Okay? These are what we have trending in the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Imandi, let's see. Nigeria missing among 12 African countries to benefit from malaria vaccine. We're still talking about health.
The health, you know, before we have to know the reason why we were missing out. And you know that one of the major health challenge that we have is, one of them is malaria, then followed by polio and other ones. Then if we can miss out of this, Nigeria can do it on their own. We can prevent malaria. We can roll back malaria. All these vaccines, Nigeria can sponsor and have their own. Being the giant of Africa, we must not depend on international bodies. No, wait, hold on. That's okay, wait. Coming from the giant of Africa, I think it was basically first from sports, as at then, from sports. That was what qualified us. And you know that the first republic and currently the administration that we have here now, there are two different methods of administration then. Then it was better than now. So in this aspect, Nigeria can sponsor and vaccinate people in a way to roll back malaria. There is a thing that they normally say that as a child, you have to grow. It will get to a point whereby you stop demanding from your parents to start giving. Nigeria have gotten to that level to stop. It's not everything that we get from international bodies.
Just like you said earlier, that we don't know the reason why we are out of the game. But what if we didn't meet up to some criteria that they rolled out?
The criteria is not the.
So if we couldn't meet to this criteria, do you now think that we can now on our own produce the vaccine?
See, the truth is that we can, but the problem is the leadership.
if they produce vaccine, will you take?
That is the aspect of because the leaders has performed in a way that we the citizens no longer trust them again.
Yeah.
We don't trust them again. That we vote or go out on voting on election day to cast our vote is just to fulfill our righteousness. Most people are getting the voters card because of one maybe bank. They've lost hope in governance.
Okay.
So the only thing is just that the government should buckle up, because it is not the fault of the citizens that we didn't meet up with the criteria. It's not my fault, neither is it your fault. So it is the fault of
we are all Nigerians.
We are all part of it.
Yes.
So you cannot actually say that we are all part of it.
Let's round up on this. I don't know. Okay, you have something else. Maybe after that. This issue of, because we really didn't talk about it, and I think it's something worth talking about. Tinubu Shetima.
Exactly what I wanted to ask.
You understand? EU Secretariat. You understand? So I begin to wonder, you understand, if international observers are going into a country to observe a proceedings like an election, definitely they are not coming on their own. They are coming based on the fact that there is an invitation, and then you guys granted them. That's talking about the past administration. An election was conducted, and as an independent observer, for that matter, They are now giving a report, and the present government are storming the secretariat and saying that they don't want that report.
You know,
Okay.
the funny thing there is just that even most of the people that said that this election was free and fair, we are also amongst those that we are storming the EU secretariat to close down the report. Why? We all know the process that made President Tinubu the president. We all know the process. But we decide to wait on court because we believe that that the judiciary is the hope or is the last hope of a common man. Let's just watch them. But the only thing that why are they storming the district if they believe and if they know? Even Tinubu himself mentioned that this election was free and fair. So why is he and his team storming up the EU secretariat? So the only thing is just that they know the truth, and they maybe they
Okay, Rita, you want to add something to that?
Very funny.
It becomes so unashamed to do things. I think that's the word I can find at the moment for it. If a process is right, if I got something through a process and I am certain that I got it right, I will not be agitative. Make your findings, make your reports, do your investigation, publish your reports, and then if there is a way, except for instance, like in the Nigerian system, you say the Supreme Court has actually passed a verdict. It's not something to react. As a matter of fact, for me, it's actually insulting, it's actually undergrading to see the presidency, go reacting and in quotes, protesting that a report should be cancelled, withdrawn, annulled or stuff like that. That's totally out of it for me. Totally out of it.
Okay, well, on that note, we want to say a very big thank you to both of you. For want of time, we have to go. We've really explored and spent our time on the topical issues that we have this morning. And for that reason, we want to say a very big thank you to you, Arinze Anyebunam, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And Imante Ezenago, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, that's it on Press Review this morning. Thank you so much for being part of it. You watching us from wherever you are, thank you so much. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we see you at the other side. Stay with us. I'm Chidinma Oranwa.
I'm not to go back on the same. Thank you.